Hey, what's up, guys? We're going to be doing something special today. We are actually going to be talking about the Rise of Iron in somewhat of a podcast where we're just talking about, topics. And today's topic is actually raiding, and I have a special guest with me today. His name is King Jaquan. He is the leader of Minds and Murderers. So the first thing on our list is prepping for the raid. So I have not experienced enough to talk about this. So King, would you like to talk first, and I could probably add on later?
So as we know, the Rise of Iron comes out on September 20th, but 3 days later, the official raid for the Rise of Iron will be coming out, this will be the first raid Bungie has actually released very early. And just to go why they did this, my random guess to do this because if you think about it, the old raids before you had to hit a base level cap to do those raids. Like when we did when the King's Fall raid last year came out, we were level 34 when we entered the Taken King, and then we had to get to level 40, and then we had to hit 290 to do the raid. So in this raid, your base level is already level 40, so they're not increasing that, but the raid itself is level 42, like everything else in the game will be. So that's my idea of why the raid is releasing early. So everyone out there who is not 335 yet, I think it's time to start grinding those Challenge of the Elders and those raids to get your stuff done to hit 335. Because when a new raid comes out, you're gonna want to do it on probably on day one to get the new gear.
So now another question is, because I've been thinking about this too. Now, after you doing the King's Foray, because obviously that will only get you to 335. So how, like after Rise of Iron comes out, you are gonna have to reach at least 380. I'm assuming, and 380 would be the lowest you could possibly get into until you get into the raid, and you'll start going up a little bit into like 390. So what do you think would be the best one to like prep yourself for raiding? Because I think once you do like the main missions and you go through all side quests and stuff like that, and you're gonna reach the Archon's Forge, I feel like that's where you're gonna be getting your gear to get raid ready. But I want to hear what you think about this. Like, what do you think is the best route to getting raid ready for Wrath of the Machines when it comes out September 23rd?
So when the raid releases, just to get a little input, I'm pretty sure that the raid itself won't be gonna be 380 to enter the raid. I'm gonna say 360, 365, probably like that. So throughout the main campaign of the storyline, which is again it's 5 missions, but there's side quests, so to add on. But once you finish those, I'm pretty sure once you finish those missions for the regular story, you're gonna get new gear, new armor, and it might be blues again. Like when we into the Taken King, you may have blue armor on into the raid, but don't worry about that. Again, your light levels will be higher than 335. So what I usually do to prepare for my raids on day one is before me and my team, we would do the old raids, and then we would do strike. We would just fill us up in 3 and 3 and do strikes and prepare to be ready to communicate together and stuff like that. And I mean, the gear up for the raid itself, I mean, strikes is going to be probably the most important thing to do after you finish the main storyline. To just say, I want to get this out the way real fast, and strikes is dropping armor, stuff like that stuff. So, I mean, strikes is the way to go for this raid. I mean, in the other way, I don't really think there was. I think strikes itself would be the way to go, honestly.
Okay. Now, another thing is that something that caught my attention when you're talking is that you said you think you'll be able to go into the raid at 360, which I know before a lot of people when they were doing the raid, it was like 290 for King's Fall, and then it would gear. Wait, was it 290? I can't remember what
Yes.
so it was like 290 when they first started doing, or at least 285, and they were like getting up close to what the raid requirements were. But what you said is you're gonna be coming into the raid at like 360, which seems a little low for the raid because 385 is the cap, and obviously when you do the normal raid, it'll probably bring you to around that level to 385. So maybe 370 would be the right the one we should be aiming for. But then the jump to 400, what do you think the light level gap would be for there? Like how much would the raid actually affect you on that?
So itself, the level cap for the raid, like I mean, this is just my prediction. I think 365 is going to be the level cap for normal. Because think about this, we have the new light system from they introduced inside Second King. So all your armor and all your weapons and your artifacts like that, it counts towards your light level. So if we're going to say the light level for the raid is going to be required for normal mode to be 370, that's 15 light we got to get. So that means we're gonna hit that real fast. And I'm pretty sure Bungie don't want everyone to hit the level cap within one raid. So I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a little lower than that. But going into hard mode, which will be released they said a few weeks after, and that's with the little interview they had with Game Informer. They said a few weeks after the raid comes out, so I'm pretty sure in October, the mid of October, we're gonna see we're gonna see the hard mode version of the raid, and that level cap is 400. So that one would probably be 380. Honestly, I mean, because if you think about it, the King's Fall raid, we went from normal was 290, and hard mode was 310. That was only 20 light difference.
Mhm.
So if I'm saying the 360 is the normal one, then 380 seems like it would be on hard mode.
Okay, I see what you're saying. It makes sense because I know when you're going from like the King's Fall raid to this one, the light level seems a little off, well, especially when you're going into it for the first time. So you're assuming, or what your guess would be is like around 370 or 370 to enter this raid, or 360, which sounds about right since you explained it well. Another thing is, I know we want to go about how the raid will work, but I want to get into the artifact real quick because I know there's certain artifacts that actually sounded pretty interesting for the raid, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. So, obviously, you heard about the artifacts. Some will help recharge your super faster. Some will also let you take control of a low tier minion of the darkness to basically let him go on your side as a decoy. Do you think these are going to be impactful in the raid? You know, maybe there's going to be some fight mechanics that are going to need like decoys, or if there's going to be like a DPS cap that you have to reach real fast, and these super things will help.
So in this raid, they gave us a little hint. One hint. They said this raid is all about movement. So I'm pretty sure that we won't have that much area like this to protect ourselves. So we might need an artifact to charge us super much faster or something like that. So, I mean, the artifacts gonna come and play, but the only thing about the artifacts is, remember, there's one important thing about artifacts. You only get 3 per week. So when the raid comes out that first week, we have to see what artifacts that she's selling on that very first week to see how it's gonna affect us for the raid. So we gotta test our luck. So Bungie may say, okay, these 3 artifacts do this, but we're not gonna give you the raid artifacts, the ones you want for the raid. They may screw us and say, we're gonna give you artifacts that's for Crucible. So then we out of luck. So we have to think of ideas inside the raid itself, right on the spot, and say, okay, we don't got the artifact that we want yet, so we got to do this the hard way.
True. And also, since you said there's 3, do you think as a raid group or a raid team, do you think they'll need to communicate on which one they're going for? Or do you think it's just going to be, it doesn't matter, you just go in with like whatever you have?
Honestly, since the raid consists of 6 players, as we all know, and 3 artifacts per week. I think that at least one person should have on a different artifact for the play for their strength. So everyone in the fight team say, well, I need my super fast stuff because I'm good with my hammers. For example, let's say you're a Titan, I'm good with the hammers. I never miss. Every hammer I throw is an instant kill. Or someone with a tether, we might need a tether because this raid is big and there might be a lot of enemies, so we want that tether real fast. So I want you to have the artifact on to get you super much faster. So everyone needs to play to their strength, and every fight team in Destiny who's doing the raid on day 1, or even after day 1, after they've seen other people do the raid, they should still say and choose to look at each artifact and see what exactly the details it says, and see which one is best for you. Don't listen to. My thing is, don't listen to what other people say. Always see what's best for you in Destiny. Don't try to copy someone. See what works for best for you, because at the end of the day, you're playing the game. Someone's not playing for you. You're playing, so see what works best for you. That's the whole thing about it. That's why there's 8 artifacts, because you're seeing which one works the best for you.
And obviously some are for PvP and then some are for PvE. But I do understand what you're saying. See what artifact is best for your class and your roles and your playstyle. Another thing before we get into how the raid will start and how it will work. Another question is, and obviously you might have a better guess on this than I do, but so you said a lot of this will, a lot of the raid will probably be heavily involved in movement, and just like the King's Fall raid, the best subclasses to use was definitely Defender and Night Stalker. What do you think the best ones will be for this raid, or you think it's just going to be a variety of things?
I don't know. Honestly, I think we'll see the return of Blade Dance in this raid, to tell you the truth. I think Blade Dance will be returning inside this raid. Everything about it, the most two important, for the King's Fall, for example, the most 2 important characters in the King's Fall was actually the Titan and the Hunter. The Warlock didn't really have no love inside the raid. The subclasses for the Warlock, you could use any subclass. I mean, on hard mode, yes, you want to have, if you die with a Warlock, you could just suffer res. But I mean, the Warlock didn't really have that big of a factor inside the King's Foot raid. But I think since this raid is mostly about movement, that's when the Warlock comes in play. Because the Warlock's all about attacking and that Stonecaller. I think we'll see a lot of Stonecallers inside the raid also. Because I mean, like I said, I think Blade Dance is coming back because there'll be a lot of movement, not a lot of hiding. So we could say, let's say we have two hunters. Let's say one is on one is on Night Stalker and one is on Blade Dance. Go ahead and activate that tether. I go ahead and Blade Dance. For Titans, I don't think we'll have defenders honestly because again, it's movement. So we don't really want to be inside a bubble because, for example, I know this is going a little inside detail about the raid, but Bungie call it a Death Zamboni. I mean, if that thing is coming at you, do you really want to be sitting inside a bubble? I mean, you don't even be sitting inside a bubble. That bubble's gonna go bye bye. So I think Hammers is going to come and play for, you know, the raid or striker class. I mean, you might. I mean, if there's a lot of enemies in one place, no, Fist of Panic. Well, we call it Fist of Panic Crucible, but Fist of Panic. And for the Warlocks, like I said, Nova Bomb and Stonecaller. For normal, it's gonna come and play. And on hard mode, I think we're gonna have the return of Sunsinger.
Yeah, and I actually had the same thing that you did because when you said movement, I immediately thought about Sunbreaker, Blade Dancer, and most on Warlock is mostly Storm Chance because I feel like you said on the Zamboni, we had to run. That there's probably gonna be groups of ads to get you out, but I do want to see a variety, like not just like the Kingsfall where it's just mainly Defender and Night Stalker. Like it'd be kind of cool to see like two versions of the Titan coming in, like Sunbreakers and Strikers. Like Strikers taking out a cluster of ads, and Sunbreakers can just keep forging on ahead, removing all the ads in front of them, and then Stormcallers just wiping the floor with them. So I would like to see a variety of subclasses going into the raid. So hopefully that's how it goes, but I don't know yet. Now something else that I was also interested in because they also said in releasing the Wrath of the Machines that it's going to be like the patrol we're going to start in this like patrol area to work our way to the Wrath of the Machines. How do you think that'll work off? Because if we can take something from like Vaulted Glass where we had to be in this area where you had to activate these like three kind of like fields to open up the door, how do you think the starting raid will actually work and be like?
Well, let's go back on a little history of Bungie raids for Destiny. So the Vault of Glass, we started in the little area in Venus, and we had to activate the big Confluence Tower to open the door. And then we had the Crota's End raid where we was actually in an area that we could never access inside regular patrol on the moon. But we could see it, but we could never access it. And then we have the Kingsfall raid. So in the Kingsfall raid, it was actually, we started in the Court of Orcs. And we entered a different realm and went inside Orcs, his little maze, his little puzzles and stuff like that. So in this raid, we're going to be starting out in a patrol area. So I think it'll be the same kind of like the Vault of Glass, where we start off in that same area, and then we probably have to do some type of thing to open up the door to go inside the raid.
Mm-hmm.
But I think most of the raid takes place on the patrol area first. But in the area, like basically gonna be a lock, like a wall barrier for people who's out in the area and people who's in the raid. For them, they won't be together. But I think most of the raid gonna take probably the beginning of the raid is gonna take mostly on Earth itself, and then once we get deeper inside the raid, we're gonna start leaving Earth and go underground into where we need to fight the new Siva enemies like that. So I mean itself, I think the beginning of the raid, we might have our first mini boss. Because in every raid we have like 3 mini bosses. I think we'll have our first mini boss inside the first part. And if it is the first part is a mini boss, that'd be great to start off the raid.
Yeah, because my first idea when I heard about them, doing the patrol thing again on how you can group up into the social space and then kind of work your way to the raid. Now, when I've seen the trailer for the Zamboni, I was interested in it. I was like, how would that actually work in the raid? What would your thoughts be if the Zamboni was actually how you enter the raid? Like, in order to get into the raid, you try to open this door, and then you trigger some kind of trap, and this thing is chasing you across the wall. If that was the way the raid started, how would you feel about that?
If that was the way the raid started, I'd be like, Bungie, I would stand and just clap for them. Like, you did it. You did a good job. I mean, I'm done. I don't want to do the raid anymore. You did this. I'm done. I'm gonna go to sleep now. But it's all about the Zamboni. One thing I don't know a lot of people notice or not. You could look at a picture of the Zamboni also. if you actually notice the background, the Zamboni is actually on top of the wall.
Mm.
So
It's chasing you. Isn't it chasing you up, like further up on the wall and not down?
well, to look at the pictures and look at it, look like it's actually placed there. Like it's probably like that's probably the thing that's actually destroying the wall if you think about it. Because I mean, if you look at it, I mean, if you look at it, it's like it has a place, like it has to be there because it fits the width of the wall itself. So it's
So,
like they build it on top of the wall and start destroying the wall from that, and then the Zamboni is, it comes after us now because we're trying to destroy it
mm,
to stop it from attacking the wall. So, like I said, I think most of the raids gonna take place on Earth itself. So I think the Zamboni is probably the second phase of the raid, going into the raid, and it'd be because I'm pretty sure we're gonna climb up the wall. But if you notice by the trailer, there's a lot of jumping, so like a jumping. So I'm pretty sure the first encounter, what we have to do, we're gonna go there, and then in the second encounter, we're gonna have to scale the wall, and then we have to meet the Zamboni that we're gonna love to hate.
yeah.
So with that coming, I mean, if the raid is like this, when we have an accountant when we first start, like I said, Bungie, hats off to you.
Yeah, because I feel like with this raid, they really want to make it chaotic to make the player feel like they've been dropped into this massive fight. Because, like you said before, it looked like it was fitted for the wall. So this might be a defensive thing that the tower might have put up, or the Guardians might have put up to keep the Fallen out. But then the Fallen, transformed into their own death machine, and now this thing's chasing you to the entrance of the raid. Because like you said, it looks like it's underground. The rest of the raid is underground. So maybe the entrance to the raid is actually in a mountaintop, maybe Fellwinter's Peak, I don't know. Obviously, that's a social zone, but maybe somewhere around it on this mountain that we're actually going to have to enter to go down deeper into the Siva pits or whatever, the Siva, resting grounds. But I would definitely like to see a very chaotic start, and constantly making us move deeper and deeper into this, this raid area that we're gonna experience. So I don't know. That's just to me. I would like to definitely see a very fast start to going into the raid. Like once you start, it's basically nonstop till you get to the boss fights.
Yeah. One thing about the entrance of the raid. I mean, if we look at it really. It's gonna be nowhere near the Fellwinter's Peak. I mean, the Fellwinter's Peak, as we've seen in pictures and videos, it's in that new social area is gonna be right on top of a mountain. The new raid looks like it starts around the old Devil's Lair strike. Looks like it starts around there because that's where the wall is around. I mean, the entrance of the wall is from the videos we've seen and the pictures we've seen, they broke the wall down over there. So like I said, I think the raid's gonna start around. It's gonna be around that area. The Devil's Lair, so it's gonna be very far from the Fellwinter's Peak. I don't think that they're gonna put it that close and encounter with it. I think so as soon as you exit the Rusted Lands from the regular Earth map, you go right there, and the raid can be right around the corner.
Yeah.
Bring your head back. Oh, that was the raid.
Yeah, I was just using Fellwinter's Peak as just an example of like a mountain, but yeah, I totally agree with you that it would be set around the wall area, like Devil's Den. So, since we're talking about how it's starting, how do you think the boss mechanics are going to work? What kind of bosses are you expecting to see in the raid, and how do you think the boss fights will go? Because, once again, you said there's movement, so do you think we're going to see maybe spider tanks chasing us, or maybe some, maybe some kind of hybrid Arcan Priest that has this, like, modified cannon that jumps around or just summons waves of minions on us? What do you think these boss mechanics are going to be like, and how the bosses, or what the bosses will actually be like themselves?
Well, first thing, let's talk about the name of the raid. Like, the name of the raid gives off like an answer that we all should have just caught on as soon as Bungie announced the name of the raid. I mean, Wrath of Machines. I mean, doesn't that sound familiar to you?
I believe so. You said it was something from like the original Prison of Elders. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, so the original Prison of Elders, there's the Prison of Elders, and there's also 3 sections of the Prison of Elders, and one was called something. It was like a servitor, right?
Correct.
And what was the name of the servitor's version of the Prison of Elders called?
The name of that mode of the Prison of Elders was called Machine Wrath.
Machine's Wrath. And
I could double check, but I believe it's called Machine Wrath.
Okay, and like you're saying, it's Wrath of the Machines. Obviously, it's machines, but we have seen in the trailer that there has been modified Fallen, like the Arcan Priest that has this modified arms and like head. So obviously, we might see a servitor or a spider tank, But what else do you think there's a possibility of being in this? Do you think we're going to see another kind of hybrid creature of the Fallen, or I really want to hear your opinions on this because I know you're somewhat of a raid expert because you have a lot of completions on the old, other raids as well. So I would like to hear your thoughts on this.
So yes, the last, just to go back, yes, it was called Machine Wrath, and it was server for the final boss. So to go over, I think Bungie is gonna add all like type of enemies. So we're gonna see probably a captain, and you're gonna see the servitors. You're gonna see hey, who knows? I mean, when we did the Taken King, we seen a big ass servitor for the first time. I mean, we fought a servitor, big ass servitor for the first time, really. We might see a big ass thrower. Who knows? But I know I could think one off the top of my head. I know one is going to be an Icon Priest. We're going to see one of them inside the raid. We're going to have to because there was a big factor for the House of Wolves. And remember that this DLC that's releasing is being directed by the same people who did the House of Wolves.
Yeah, it's really heavy on the Fallen, but just modified with the Siva, which is which is true. But do you think it's gonna be an Archon Priest or a Kel that maybe has come back? Maybe like a modified Skolas. Maybe it's possible that he could possibly be brought back to life with the Siva nanotech. So do you think that would work out?
Well, here's the thing. Skolas is. I'm saying this, and I know a lot of people gonna get probably mad at me and say no, he's not. Skolas is dead. And the reason why I say Skolas is dead because we killed him inside the prison elders, and if we just killed him, they remember Skolas came back as a taken enemy inside the new spring update. So if Skolas come back from if that means if the Siva goes inside the new prison elders and say, let's defeat the Taken and let's take Skolas' body and just make him reborn again. If they do that, Bungie's gonna have to come out with something for the mid content to say the Siva versus the Taken. Because for me, I'm all about story and I'm all about how things work together. That wouldn't work for me. I mean, when we were trying to predict what the new raid was gonna be, I mean, in my head, I'm like, we're gonna finally have a Cabal raid. And the reason why I said that because I said we never have a Fallen raid because I said we killed all the Fallen from the House of Wolves. It just wouldn't make sense to me. But Bungie came and shocked me again and said, well, we're going to have Fallen, but it's a different type of Fallen. So to have another Skolas as a third version now, as a Siva now, I mean, it's going to kind of be a little weird for me to see him back. I do know one thing, and this is not even about the raid. I do know that one servitor is back. I'm not going to say what servitor is back, but I do know one servitor is back from the dead from year one. I'm going to say that. That may give people a hint. But there is one server that I know confirmed that is alive and living well and is back in the game. So I don't think we're going to see Skolas. I think we're going to see another priest or something. Because there's probably a few more priests that we don't know about.
So you don't think that the nanotechnology that the Siva has can have any kind of possibility of reversing the Taken effect or, bringing back the dead? Okay, so now moving on to another thing, because obviously we were talking about, a captain being a boss. What do you think the other boss will be like, and how many bosses do you think we're actually going to have in the raid? Because in Kingsfall we've had 3 bosses. We had the War Priest, Golgoroth. I don't know if you really want to call Daughters a boss, because there's 2 guys. I never really counted them as a boss, but it was War Priest, Golgoroth, and Oryx, unless we want to count Daughters, and that before. With Crota's End, there's only Crota, and then with Vault of Glass, wasn't it only what was it called, the Templar, and then what was the Vault of Glass guy called himself? I forgot his name. Atheon. It was only the Templar and Atheon. So how many bosses do you think are going to be in the Wrath of the Machine, since there was technically only 3, unless you're counting Daughters and Kingsfall, and then same thing with Crota, only 1 boss, and then with Vault of Glass only being 2 bosses, Templar and Atheon.
Well, that's sort of right, but just to go over it really in depth, there was more than 2 bosses inside the Vault of Glass. Remember, we had the Templar first, we had the 3 Gatekeepers, then we had Atheon. The Gatekeepers are mini bosses. Okay,
so they're counted as like basically Daughters, really, where they're just there to open the path for the final fight. What you're saying, right?
Yeah, because I mean the gatekeepers. I mean, thinking about the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers. If I break the gate, I'm gonna summon Atheon,
Mm.
breaking his gate down, and grabbing the relics, and getting stuff done. And Crota's End. A lot of people don't know this, and just to let people know, the Death Singer inside the Crota raid is a boss also. And that is actually Oric's daughter. That's actually Oric's daughter also. That's Crota's sister. Crota has three sisters. We have the two Death Singers from the new raid. Well, I'm not gonna say new raid because the new raid would be the new one that's coming out. But
Yeah, the
King's
current
Fall,
the
and then
current
we
raid.
have the raid from Crota's End. We had another Death Singer. That's actually they're all family. So that's actually another boss. I mean, she had boss powers, and I mean, yes, the Death Singers. A lot of people don't count them as bosses because I mean it's easy to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
I like one of the easiest bosses to beat inside the thing. But I mean, you have to still count them as bosses because they are encounters that you have to do. So like, if you look at the Bungie app and look at the little like rectangles, and you pass each point and you get a checkpoint, the doors count as it counts as an encounter no matter what. So
I guess
you have
that
to count for this.
I guess that is true because the daughters and even the gatekeepers themselves, and also the daughter or the sister in Crota's End, they also had death mechanics too. So I guess do you want to say that anything with a death mechanic can be counted as a boss?
Well, the Gorgons have death mechanics also. We'll count them as a boss.
That's a good question. I don't know. So we'll just go with the whole checkpoint thing, I guess, if you want to say that. Now, going to what we were previously saying, so, the order of the bosses, I guess you want to count 3 with the Gatekeepers for Vaulted Glass, 2 for Crota's End if you want to count the Sisters, and then 4 for King's Fall if you want to count the Sisters as well. What do you think, how many bosses do you think will be in the Wrath of the Machines raid?
I think Bungie gonna do them so, and I'm gonna say 5.
You're going to say 5? Okay. Now, since we were talking about this for a little bit, and we were talking about the captains, do you have any other guesses or any kind of things that they could bring into this raid that might make it somewhat challenging, or some kind of bosses that we haven't seen before to make it a little bit unique? Think there's gonna be a thing like that?
There's one thing I kind of wanted to see, and I see it in other games, and I know I'm gonna say this one game. I'm gonna say, and a lot of people again might get mad at me and will say, "Kill him." The Division, which is the opposite of Destiny, complete opposite. In the Division, they new update. They have encounters that you have a time limit to do it in. So Destiny has had this in their raids before when we had a time limit to do certain things. Like in the Crota's End raid, we had a time limit to actually kill the Death Singer inside the Crota's End raid. And then like in the King's Fall raid, we have a time limit to do the daughters and a time limit to kill the Shade of Orcs. So I think if we have a time limit where it's actually like a clock on the like, because inside the raid we don't actually know the time, we have to actually guess. But they say you have like 5 minutes to kill the Destined Bony. You don't do it in 5 minutes, your whole fire team wipe.
Well, actually, you can go a little bit more in detail and say, like, if you don't do it within like this 5 minutes, you're gonna run out of space to escape from, and it's just gonna like kill you.
Yeah, like you don't do this in 2 minutes. Sort of half of the wall is going to go away. You don't do it another 2 minutes, you're going to have one piece of the wall left. You don't do it then, you're getting the hell off the wall. But I think one thing that Bungie could add to the raid that would make it so extreme, and it would piss a lot of people off, and it would just make my life a little fun, is to make like the old Nightfalls. Let's go back to the year 1 Nightfall. Your whole fire team dies? Okay, go to orbit. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's challenging.
It is. I mean, it's also frustrating. But do you think they'll introduce that to the normal raid or the hard mode raid? Because hard mode raid, that would obviously make a lot more sense. Because if you die, there's no respawn. You have to start all the way from scratch. And also, if you think about how do you think the general population of players will be? Obviously, I'm actually for that because it'd be a kind of like a fun thing to do. Because if you die, that's it. Just start over from scratch. Not where the checkpoint is. But how do you think players and how that actually be introduced?
So we have I believe it's 30 million people who play Destiny. Big community. So a lot of veterans, and I mean veterans. I don't mean people who are new to year 2. They call themselves a veteran. Year 3, you're not a veteran. Year 1 people who play the game in the beta or the alpha. Myself as an alpha user, so I've been playing Destiny for over nearly 2 years now. Going on 3, 4 years, man, I don't know. But I've been
Sadly,
playing Destiny for a long time. Sadly,
sadly,
I've
I'm a
counted,
beta player, so I can't claim alpha test yet. But I'm a beta player for 360. But keep going.
and I have countless hours inside Destiny. So me, when we had the Nightfall in year one, that was one thing. Like me and my clan, I'm like, if we're going to Nightfall, if we die and we go back to orbit, we're done. We're not doing the Nightfall again because we're not wasting time.
Mm.
And every time we did the Nightfall, we didn't never go back to orbit. It pushed us
To
to
get
do
better.
better.
Mm.
And this is something that I lead in my clan to push people to do better. I mean, some people say, well, no, you shouldn't do that. But my clan is all about becoming legend in Bungie in terms, becoming great. I mean, I want people to succeed in the game and not be frustrated when they do something. So if we had the same Nightfall part when, fight team dies, okay, go to orbit. Most of the community, I'm gonna say probably a quarter. I'm not gonna say half. I'm gonna say a quarter will say, "Yeah, I like this," and it's challenging. It's a
Mm.
challenge because we don't want to do a raid that's say, "Oh, so this is how you do it." Okay, let's knock this out in 40 minutes. Let's knock this out in 20 minutes. Let's solo this.
Yeah, that would be a bad thing to have another year. I mean, I truly enjoyed the Crota's End raid, but soloing it did take away the fun of it. And like you said, if the raid becomes too easy, like King's Fall. Well, okay, so for people that don't know, King, what is your fastest time in the King's Fall raid?
My fastest time in the King's Fall raid is 33 minutes and 17 seconds.
And mine is actually it's a little more than his, but I think by only like 10 minutes. So the King's Fall raid is easy to be, easy to complete. And I'm definitely with King on this one that it would be nice to have something a little bit more challenging, or at least to take a little bit longer, because obviously as a raid it's going to take long. Like, let's say if you compare games like World of Warcraft, or I mean, I don't really want to count the Division. The Divisions doesn't really have raids. It's just like more like these harder versions of strikes. But like for like World of Warcraft, the usual raids take about 2 to 3 hours to complete, and that's with a normal group that you usually stick together when you're doing normal progression for what the current content is. So I'd definitely like to see a little bit of a length increase, maybe at least to an hour, even done with not farming strategy, but like polish strategies, if you know what I mean. But I'm definitely with you on that. I would like to see the normal gameplay of the raid be increased a little bit more than just to like 30 minutes, even with a really great group.
One more thing, well, a few more things, let's say two more things that I would like to see in the raid. The very first thing is, let's bring back challenge mode from the King's Fall.
I'm with you on that one.
The second thing, and I think a lot of people agree with me on this, for hardcore Destiny players, let's have modifiers inside the raid. Weekly modifiers. Let's make it like the Nightfall. Let's make it like the strikes that they have now. Let's have weekly modifiers. Art burn, solar burn, exposure, something that make it even challenging.
So
Let's have modifiers.
So hold on, before we keep going about this, I know because if anybody watches this, is probably thinking that's stupid. So what he's trying to say is that how like with strikes you have 36 strikes and you have 41 that are a little bit more challenging, and then you have nightfalls. So there's basically gonna be like 3 tiers. That's what he's talking about. How you have normal hard mode and then like super hard, which is gonna be like the nightfall version of the raid, where you have your modifiers plus challenges and all that stuff. So you don't think he's just saying there should only be 2 modes. He's trying to say that for the like hardcore players there should be like a third mode where there's like these modifiers and challenges as well to offer more of a gameplay variety for them. All right, I'm sorry. I just want to make that known so people don't just get like crazy about that.
Don't kill me. I'm this messenger. So like for example, when let's go a year. Let's go back a year. I know we're going back in time. We're going to time travel, but let's go back a year when Bungie announced the Taken King. My knowledge was there would be 3 versions of the raid. Honestly, for this raid, the King's Fall raid, there were going to be 3 versions because when they said they made the raid backwards, they went from challenge to hard, then to normal. So in my head, there was 3 versions of raids coming out, and I was like, damn. And when we did hard mode, I'm like, damn. When challenge mode come out, this shit gonna be tough. But then we found what challenge mode was, and they were just doing an objective to kill the bosses in a certain way.
Mhm.
So having a third version of the raid is good. And hey, I mean, if we have a third version of the raid, let's call it challenge mode. Let's call it challenge mode. And let's say you do challenge mode, your light level goes to 4 7. I'm not gonna say 420 because a lot of people out there. Let's say 430.
Or how about this? Instead of raising the light level on the gear, how about the stats? Like let's say hard mode raid and challenge mode raid, you'll get the same light level gear, but the stats on challenge mode are actually better than what you'll get on hard mode. Does that make sense? Because if you think about it, then Bungie would have to constantly increase the light level. But if you change the stats on the gear that you can get from challenge compared to hard mode, would that make a big enough difference for people to go in and do it? No? Or do you think the light level will actually be more beneficial?
Here's the thing, and for people listening, I do Sherpers throughout the week, and when I'm doing Sherpers, a lot of people say one thing: I want my light level to be higher. That's the one thing people care about. I hear the most. I want my light level to be higher. I want my light level to be higher. Like for example, when the spring update in June came out, everyone thought that you had to be 320 to do normal mode and 335 to do hard mode. There was a lot of people out there who thought that was a new requirement. But I mean, if you kind of read your screen, it says level requirement 290 and instead 310.
Mm-hmm.
Bungie was just trying to let you know that your gear would drop up to 320 and in the hard mode would drop up to 335. A lot of people didn't understand that. People thought that you had to be this. I see a lot of people on LG saying you have to be 320 to do normal mode. I'm like, that's crazy.
I know, I've had that same problem too.
I think if they say light level, that'll bring people a little more. I think for the hardcore Destiny players, not saying light level would drive them to it. But you gotta remember, there's more of casual Destiny players than hardcore Destiny players.
Yes, and that's very true. But what we were talking about is, you know how you're saying that the third channel or the third version of the raid will offer higher light level gear. But weapons, like I was saying before, instead of increasing that light level, but the stats as a reward. Like let's say, you know how what we kind of look forward to now, especially more in the Crucible, is like tier 12 stats. What happens if the only way to get those kind of stats are by doing the challenge mode, but you can still get to the same light level, like 385 by doing hard mode, but you're just not going to have that tier 12 or tier whatever they're going to have when the Rise of Iron comes out. What do you think about that as a reward, instead of hiring the light after all these things come out?
It'd be great. I mean, it gives people different things to do inside Destiny for one. I mean, after you do the raid, some people get bored. I mean, some people say, "Oh God, I'm waiting for the next Destiny update," and that's the one thing about every Destiny player. And there's no one Destiny player that say they can't agree with this. We want more content. That's
absolutely true.
The same as that thing. No one can say we don't want more content. If you don't want no more content, that means you're retired from Destiny. You're never playing it again. But other than that, everyone wants more content. So having 3 versions of the raid and one being a mode that you get certain stuff that's better than every other thing inside the other normal and hard mode, then yes, that's gonna drive people to it and it's gonna make people play it. So like for example, let's go back to year one more time. Let's go back. House of Wolves, because this Rise of Iron is kind of playing off the House of Wolves a little bit. There was one thing about the House of Wolves that I personally didn't like, and that was it was mainly focused on PvP. I'm a PvE player. I mean, I have my countless flawlesses for trials, but at the end of the day, I'm a PvP player. I'm a PvE player. I love raids. I've had countless raids. Currently right now, I have done the King's Fall raid over 370 times.
Mm-hmm.
But year one trials. If you remember the trials of Osiris from year one, if you got a dead weapon, no one was really beating you. No one really beating you inside Crucible.
Yes.
The trials weapons were the best weapons for the House of Wolves. Period. I mean, yes, you had the weapons from the Prison Elders, but when it came down to the trials weapons, they was badass. There was no beating them really. Like for example, one gun that I always wanted, and I finally got when I went flawless, was the Scholar Adept. That thing had range like a sniper rifle, and impact better than the Mida. It was a high powered sky rifle, and it was badass. And the thing about one that I love and I miss is the burns on guns. I miss my burns. The only currently burn on a gun is Arc, and that's on the Supercell, and I miss my burns on guns. But bringing that concept back, saying, all right, you want to be badass, you gotta do the challenge mode.
Yep.
If you don't want to be badass, then don't do challenge mode. Because they did focus on PvP in the House of Wolves, and a lot of people may say they didn't. They honestly did. The most House of Wolves is really about the Trials of Osiris, bringing Brung to the game.
It was, because for those of you who don't know and didn't play Year 1, basically Trials of Osiris was the raid equivalent, as Dark Below had the Crota's End. So if you wanted your best gear, you would definitely go to Trials. And obviously they had Prison Velders and they had Skolas, but it really did not, equal out to what they have. Which kind of, I want to branch off into this, but we're just talking about raiding right now. But I definitely do think that they should do like a lateral move with their gears and their sets, because I think if you get something from the PvE side of things, that should only be good for PvE. Obviously, you can go into PvP and still be good, but it shouldn't be as great as PvP stuff. And same thing with PvP stuff. You don't want to go to PvP and then go straight into PvE and it still be valuable. Like it needs to have its own gear progression and its own like select categories. But we are getting a little bit into this. We're already pretty far. We're already 41 minutes, which is crazy. I've been having a lot of fun talking. But what are your wishes, and what would you like to see out of the Wrath of the Machines raid before we wrap this up? Because I know you were talking about you would like to have 3 categories, one normal, then one hard mode. Because obviously, like you said, there's a very small group of hardcore raiders out there, hardcore PvE players. So probably most people from LFG will be doing hard mode, while already set groups will be doing challenge mode. And what are your hopes coming out of this? Do you hope that there's going to be some good gear out of this? Do you think are your hopes to I don't know, what are your main expectations for this, and what would you hope to come true into fruition for the Wrath of the Machines?
For the Wrath of the Machines, my biggest hope, and this is a lot of people gonna agree with me on this one, is I hope to God Bungie fixes the reward system. Because when I did the Kingsfell raid, I didn't get anything except Molten Shards up until the Daughters.
Yeah.
My first weapon was a shotgun from the raid. My second weapon was a scout rifle. I didn't get no armor for my first raid for the Kingsfell raid. The only thing I got was Molten Shards. There was people in the fire team I had. 5 of them got the ghost, and I'm like, "Where's my ghost?" And I wanted the ghost because it looked badass when it first came out. I mean, now I use a new ghost, which is Consumer Shell, which is from the Challenge of Elders, but I hope the reward system is actually rewarding, because it's a reward system not to reward you. That's just crazy. I mean, it's kind of like wasting my time. Like, I'm doing a raid, and then everyone's getting stuff, and then you don't get nothing.
Yeah, it kind of deters you from doing the raid. I understand, yeah.
I understand it's random, but at least reward me for my hard work. Don't give me 2 Molten Shards and say, "Oh, if you get 20 of these, you get an extra drop at the end of the raid." No, I want armor and weapons now. There's also one more thing I want them to bring back. I want them to bring back the same weapons from the way weapons work from the Vault of Glass and Crota's End, meaning only certain weapons only drop on normal mode, and certain weapons only drop on hard mode. If you remember from Crota, the Word of Crota didn't drop on normal mode; it only dropped on hard mode.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Hammer dropped on normal mode. The Scout Rifle for Crota's End dropped on normal mode also. The shotgun dropped on normal, but it was weapons that only dropped on hard mode. And I want them to bring that back because, I mean, yeah, it's fun, everyone have everything and everyone, have the same DPS like that. But, I mean, again, make the game challenging. So saying that you gotta do this again and again and again and again until you get all the weapons, until you get all the non-weapons, then you gotta play the raid.
Yeah,
Make people play the raid.
Yes, and I do agree with you because if you do that, then it also gives you more play time. And obviously, yes, you might be playing the raid over and over again, but once again, if you do different settings or different level modifiers for the raid, it does feel like new content when you go back to it. Even if you're higher level than what the normal one is, it does change a little bit, and it feels like a nostalgic feeling compared to a grind feeling, which I'm definitely with you on that they should bring levels restrict or like certain normal or hard mode gear to their own separate things, and you can go back and go forward to get these cool different weapons that you can get in the raid. But what was another thing? I kind of lost my train of thought when I was saying this. God, what was it? Kind of drawing a blank here. I don't know what it was. I know it was something important too.
Well, while you think about that, I'm gonna tell people, listen, if you never did a year one content, the raid, just to let you know, for example, what I was talking about earlier, when you did the normal mode raid, the black hammer only dropped on normal, and the light abyss, which is the fusion rifle, dropped on normal. The sword breaker, which is the shotgun, dropped on normal. The hunger quarter, which is the rocket launcher, dropped on normal, and the Songer AU dropped on normal. Those are the only weapons. So clearly, I only said 5 weapons. So the other weapons were, the pulse rifle, which is also edit. Actually, I know that's aggressive a lot. yeah, on the heck out for that one strike, which is Armago. The Abyss Defiant, which was the auto rifle, Warrior Crota, hand cannon, and the thing I actually dropped on hard mode too. Again, but actually no, the thing you actually only dropped on hard mode. That's kind of wrong. Yeah, thing I only dropped on hard mode. So there was different weapons that dropped on certain modes. So I think they should bring that back, honestly. So if you never did year one content and didn't know how it was, that's how it used to be in year one. We actually had to play the raid to farm for our guns and stuff like that. We didn't get it from saying, okay, well, this enemy drops all this stuff, and that enemy drops all that stuff, and that was it. It just you get it throughout the game from different areas. But I think they should break up the weapons again.
I agree with you. The funny thing is, I just remembered what I was going to talk about, but it's kind of irrelevant now. So I was kind of going back to what you said before with RNG. I think you should be guaranteed weapons or whatever the role is for the bosses, that you should never be empty-handed. But the stats and the light level should always be different. So when you do every single boss, you're trying to go for that perfect light level that you want, the perfect stats. But at least you're guaranteed something every single time. But your role or your light level on that will always differ for every time you do it. That's what I was trying to say. To just make people feel like they're actually getting rewarded, instead of feeling like they're left out.
Yeah. And the very last thing I want to see in the raid, and I know I'm never going to see in the raid. Can we have some ghost commentary in the raid? Just saying.
I would actually like player commentary, because we've never heard a character talk. We've only heard a ghost talk.
Yeah, let's have a conversation between our ghosts and our character.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Like, you guys are like bantering back and forth, be like, "Yo, what is this? What are we getting into?" And like the ghost be like, "Keep going forward," and the guy says, "No, that's crazy." I would just like to see like random bantering back and forth like that, or you talking to other, like, let's say you're talking to Saladin. I'm with you there. I would like to see some kind of dialogue during the raid to make you feel like you're being enveloped into the raid itself, and also story reason why, because for King's Fall, it basically went off with the main mission was killing Oryx, continuing the mission basically and finalizing and concluding what the story is. I kind of hope we get that same thing in Wrath of the Machines as well, just a little bit more detailed and in depth, because there were some gaps in between, but I guess if you did the calcified fragments, it did kind of like match up and basically give you fillers. But I'd like to have more of a verbal commentary, or just like giving us the information of what the story actually is while we do the raid. That's just my hopes, is just to conclude the story with the raid, and also to be rewarded, like you said, but just differ with the roles and light level. But I guess that's it. Is there anything else you want to add, King, before we end this?
The last thing, I'm not keeping last thing, but the last thing is, I know they're gonna have it there, but I can't wait to hear the badass music for the raid.
Oh yeah,
if you never bought a soundtrack for Destiny 1 or 2 for the original Destiny and Ten King, you need to hear the soundtrack. The game music for the game, if you just hear it and listen to it, it is badass. It's a badass soundtrack, and I can't wait to hear the Raid soundtrack.
That's absolutely true.
Rise of Iron soundtrack.
That's true, because I know even with the first mission, Taken King, the composer for the music was just absolutely amazing. And I agree with you. I actually didn't think about the music, but now that you brought it to my attention, it will be. Hopefully, it'll be amazing, like Taken King was. I haven't really heard Year One as much, but definitely. But that's gonna be it, guys. That's gonna be our raid talk. We are gonna continue more later on with like artifacts, Crucible, and maybe some explaining how the exotics will work and the missions. But that's gonna be it, guys. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you guys are interested in the Minds of Murderers, there'll be a link in the description below, so you guys can go check them out. I also want to give a special thanks to King for joining me today and talking about some of the raiding topics for Rise of Iron. So I appreciate you coming out and joining us today. It was a lot of fun to have you here. And once again, if you guys have stayed tuned all the way, make sure you guys, like it if you enjoyed, and also leave in the comments what you guys think the raid will be like and what you will see in the raid, or what you, if you agree or disagree with what we said, because I definitely like to have some kind of like feedback and communication with you guys that watch this. But once again, thank you for watching, and we're out. Laters.